color. It's the power of melanin. So the blackness that we want to awaken in the African is not anything that is based upon any color scheme. It is something that's based upon the forces of nature. The black that I talk about now is the black that is in the idea of the black hole, source of energy, the blackness of the universe, out of which stars are born. We're talking about that black. And once we become a little bit aware of the blackness of the cosmos, the blackness of time, the blackness of the womb, we lose the fear of this notion of blackness. And we begin to embrace blackness because that is our nature. But you know, when you enslave the brain and enforce ideology that is contradictory over decades and decades, the people will lose memory and they will begin to lose faith in themselves. So the African people now, after decades of oppression and enforced teaching and training, we generally and basically hate the idea of black. And very few people really want to call themselves black because of the association over the decades of this word. But you see, if we move our thoughts into an ancient time, when the language was not really controlled by English, we could get a better meaning and a deeper understanding of our own selves. So we have Europeans who are born in Africa. Are they Africans? Chinese who are born in Africa. Are they Africans? Or are they Chinese born in Africa? Because the identity issue is serious, and I'm sure the Chinese who's born in Africa will not claim to be an African because his basic identity is already in the genetic makeup. He's Oriental, he's Chinese. So the black that we need to elevate is a black that is a capital B, is a black that refers to a state of energy, a state of nature, a state of oneness with the cosmos. For people who can see the night sky, there is no greater evidence of the power of blackness than the night sky. Because against the background of the blackness, we see specks of light energy. But the 90% of the background is the blackness. The Christian scripture said that out of the darkness came forth light. On the color scheme, there is no black. Within the state of blackness, all colors are absorbed. So the black skin absorbs all radiation of the sun. The black skin absorbs all the colors, all the hues. The black skin holds that energy and has a capacity to reuse it. Metamorphosis.
Shower me with love, yeah. That bring forth amazing stuff. That bring forth milk and honey, don't stop. Let the news men write what they wanna write. Let the wicked believe what they wanna believe. Yeah,
Now, part of the difficulty in this identity quest to solidify identity is that the African people now have been juxtaposed or put in opposition to Europeans. Everything we do is always vis-a-vis white people, Europe and Africa. Of course, the Europeans invaded Africa and they had this deep intermingling with I and interbreeding and coming like we can't get them out of our system now. So everything is we and them. So we think the whole world now is just between we and white and these European people. And everything we do is a reaction to what they say. And the reason with the man, all them talk about is the black and the whites. It's just like the world is only black and white. There's the people. So I have to clear up this thing now, because Chinese are a critical element in this world population. And all of us are thinking about everything is just black versus white and white versus black. And we are ignoring a vast proportion of the world. So I think we're overemphasizing these people. We're putting too much emphasis on these people. And they encourage us to focus on them, that they can sap our energies. In the same way the plants that have no chlorophyll sap the plants that have chlorophyll. So who are these people now? They call themselves white people. And then they tell us that black and white are opposites. And all of this bag of confusion in our brain. And we feel that they're opposite to us. So if we are evil, they are good. And if, this binary type of thinking. Well, we can look at who they are, these people now. Because if we can identify who they are, maybe we can identify ourselves better. Because the mix-up has been long. So we have people who are calling themselves brown and off-white. And there are all of these different shades of white and how much inch of European blood them have in them and all of the confusion. Well, hear this now. There is no such thing as a white people, but there is a thing called black people. I could get that clear. There is black. But black is a state of nature, a state of energy. And there are people who have blackness in their melanin, in their skin. So we're not going to debate whether they are black people or not. But we can argue, what is this thing called white? And is that not a construction set up to oppose black people? Because in the real physiology of makeup, the people are not white-skinned. The people lack something. Them lack something why them look so now, It's not white, them white. The people are Caucasians. And the thing about the Caucasian is that the first time you see him in appearance is very striking because something is lacking. There is a deficiency, whether it's in the color of the eyes or in the skin. So we overstand that. So the notion of being white now is something where the Europeans they make up. Because the Greeks and the Romans didn't call themselves white. They were Greeks and Romans. And there were tribes and various warring groups. The term white never invented yet. So white is an invention, It's an invention. And an invention happening in like the 1700s, 1800s, when the tribes of Europe, after being tired of warring against each other and killing out each other, decided to unite and face the rest of the world. And in that unity, they adopt a political label. And the political label is called white. It's called whiteness. It's a political construct. It's not a biological makeup of the people. The people are Caucasian because they lack melanin. So we are free to be black. We're free to be called Africans and black people. But in the reality, there are no white people. So therefore, there are no people opposite to us. We're not opposite to nobody. And the world is not built between these people and we and them. We have to recognize the Oriental man, recognize the Indian man, cultures that are more ancient than the European.
This is Styles FM.
Take us to work. Take us on the go. Take us wherever you go. Styles FM.
Take Styles FM with you on the go. The number for USA 213-992-4360. That's 213-992-4360. And for the United Kingdom, 033-0010-3322. That's 033-0010-3322.
Styles FM.
Professional engineers with over 20 years of experience. So call us and we'll take care of your parties, wedding receptions, barbecues, conferences, and small stage shows. Crystal clear sound, native audio. Our prices are the best. Call us at 871-5212. That's 871-5212. Native audio. We make your events audible.
Hey, this is me, brother Gary. I tell you, say, if you want to advertise anything you have, if you sell anything, truck, car, bus, anything you're keeping, make sure you advertise it past Styles FM. Call this number 439-5160. 439-5160. And I guarantee you, everybody I go in your business.
I've got to get myself together. Yeah. Can't afford to let my faith go. You know, whenever just sun comes shining, and my sisters are all smiling, no one isn't dying. My people aren't crying. We are living in the love of the Father, living in the house of the Almighty, living in the love of the Father.
Now, the African people have been living in harmony with the Almighty Sun. The ancient civilizations all paid homage to the Almighty Sun, the Son of God that dwelt in the heavens. No, it must be made clear now that there's a connection now between the Son of God and the African people. Because it's not just because the Son of God is shining on the people why they are black. It's not the sun that makes the African people black. We want to make that point, and anybody want to advance their own reasoning can put it forward. It's not the sun that makes the African black. What causes the blackness is the pineal gland in the brain that creates a hormone that makes the melanin in the skin. So that is why melanin people are the ancient people. And this is why there are people who are in places like Australia, the original people, who have their history of thousands of years, seemingly disconnected from Africa, but connected to melanin. So this is what is the basis of the blackness. It's not just because you go in the sun, because if you go in the sun and you don't have a pineal, you ain't going to get black. You're going to get a tan, and that will wear off because that is just the surface of the skin being baked. And after a while, it returns to its normal state. Within the African, there is this system that can absorb solar energy, sunlight, and hold it. And in that holding, it appears to be black, which is a total absorption of light. All of that is going on within the skin. So claiming blackness is important, and knowing that you're an African is equally important. Yeah, the black and the African, and we're celebrating Black history, celebrating African history, we're celebrating the knowledge of our blackness. Metamorphosis.
Style.
Metamorphosis, continuing into the segment that is called Alkebulan, our story, Kmet, the anciency of the African people. The land was called Land of the Blacks by the Europeans. Ethiopia, meaning black. Egypt, meaning black. Kemet, meaning black. Coming from the foundation of science, chemistry, Kemet. So the African people are the founders of chemistry, science, physics, astronomy, biology, astrology, all the various disciplines of the foundation of any civilization. The Africans are the founders, but we don't want to get carried away, because the world is not just the African continent. And the people of melanin have not concentrated themselves strictly on the African continent. The people of melanin have spread out. Some people call it external migration. And so beyond the African shores, there are other civilizations that reflect the African traditions and reflects a unity in culture amongst people of melanin, amongst black people. Now, our education in the Western world, particularly in English colonies, is all about the conquest of English people. The countries that they control, and their history is written in their books, and that's what we read as English citizens, people who have been captured by the British. So we read the British history. The people who were captured by the Spanish, in their school books, they read about the conquest of Spain and the mighty of Spanish. And so it is with all the European countries. So I and I in the English side now, we are sort of in a dark hole. We're in a space wherein things are happening around us and we may not be so cognizant of it. There are some people who live in a region that is close to us. We call the area Central America. Historians call it Mesoamerica. These people are classified as Indians. They are melanin-based persons. They all are heavily, deeply melaninated. But in some classification, they have been classified as Indians. They are recognized as nations, civilizations. We're not talking about tribes of people running around half naked like what we see in the movies with the Indians and the white men. We're talking about civilizations. The Incas are well known. So are the Aztecs. I want to touch on the Mayans. The Mayans are a very intriguing people and culture. The Mayans are our neighbors in terms of the Caribbean. They should probably call our Caribbean Sea the Mayan Sea, because there's nothing famous about the Caribs. The Mayans have brought much knowledge to the world in astronomy, in mathematics, in architecture, and yet we don't really know much about the Mayans, because the impression that the English give us is just white people and black people, African people. But the Mayans are here. In the area of Central America, Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, certain aspects of Mexico, there are a highly developed set of persons there. Within that development, these people have contributed to the calendar, building a calendar, a solar calendar. They have contributed to introduce into the world the concept of a zero. The zero is a very powerful concept, because at one stage in my learning, it was difficult to grasp what it means, nothing. And when you add it on to something, the thing get value. Always intriguing. Zero mean nothing, but if you put a zero next to a 10, it means 100. So you add on nothing and you get more. It's the heights of mathematics. So these concepts of mathematics, numbering system, writing system. The Mayans invented these things. The Mayans had their civilization like 2,500 years before the Christian era. Before the Jesus thing started in the European framework. The Mayans are there. The Mayans have their religious systems, they have their gods, they have their goddesses, they have their mathematics, they have everything that makes us society civilized. Of course, they were invaded by the Europeans and brought to ruins. Cortez and these guys from Spain on behalf of the Queen destroyed these cultures with disease and rum and gun, and the same thing that reached the Africans reached the Indians. But when we speak about architecture, the most striking piece of architecture we find in the Mayan civilization is the pyramid. And suddenly we find that there's a connection between the pyramid culture of Egypt and the pyramid culture of the Mayans. Striking. Philosophy, architecture, astronomy, similar to the Egyptians. So what does that mean? Does it mean that the Mayans and the Egyptians knew one another? Is it that these black cultures that traveled the world, that already knew how to travel on the oceans and circumnavigated the seas, is it that these people are always connected? And in the journeys, wouldn't they have to pass through this region called Jamaica and Trinidad? Yeah, people there long before Columbus lost him way, you know. People there. Not only people there, civilizations in the Antilles, Atlantis, Metamorphosis.
Africa had great kings and queens you should know. Search your history, it will show. If you know not from whence you came, you are doomed to live in shame.
Great kings of Africa, rulers all around. They were mighty, brave and strong, tore every barriers down. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah.
Now let no one fool you. Great was Shaka the Zulu. The British army never did see such a fierce warrior as he.
In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah.
Afonso of the Congo region adopted for his people the Christian religion, never bowing to what was paid, uniting his people against the slave trade.
Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah.
Akhenaten, the first man, to tell that the God is one, carved the theology that men could see, that the Almighty was no mystery.
In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah. In Africa, oh yeah. In Africa, in Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat.
Hey, 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 hey. Calling Africans now, come. Hey. Wanna tell you don't walk, run. Got to rule your own kingdom. Yeah.
See Shaka Zulu on the corner. Iman Blak in the area. When the wicked them a lick shot. If the rap says they lick it back. In Africa.
Yeah, the mighty continent of Alkebulan, Africa, Kemet. No matter what they call it, it is the richest continent on the planet. It is being sought after by all races. The Chinese have the most of them, are the latest group to show great interest in the resources of the continent. The Europeans were there in the 1800s and they rape it and rob it and then run out and they are trying to run in again. It is the people who are indigenous to the place who need to understand what the value of the place is. But this is because they have us placing value of the planet up into the sky called heaven. We have lost the value of our own land. And to many black people, heaven more important than Africa. Ask them. The most educated will tell you they rather go to heaven than go to Africa. Because Africa is full of bang belly picnic and war. But the Chinaman them in a rush, and the Europeans in a rush. And we are trying to rush off, up into space, way beyond the space station, out of the solar system, into this land, into this nothingness. It's floating into nothingness. And the man them control the land and the river Nile, and the mountains and the waters. Who fool people. Yeah, it's serious how we view ourselves and where we put the priority. The most important real estate, we have given it up for a real estate that is not real. An estate that we can't go upon it because there's going to be discrimination and racism. Same way. So we could deal with the land. All our great prophets have told us that the basis of power is land. So if a people abandon the land, they automatically are powerless. They become servants and slaves and chattel to those who own and control the land. So let us be obvious. Let us be realistic and make a claim what is rightfully and I have space. Now, to claim the space, you have to have knowledge of it. Because you can't have any conviction without knowledge, you know. Well, I mean, you can have some belief still. That's another thing. You can believe and have a conviction. But the reality that we want to speak to now is based upon knowledge. So we know about Nile Valley culture. We know about the importance of Egypt in the 300 and 400 years before, 1,000 years before the Christian era. But there are other cultures on the planet that are parallel. And so the Mayans, the Olmecs, the Toltecs, the Incas, all of these are civilizations that we must see as contemporary to African people. Yeah, contemporary. When the pharaohs are ruling in ancient Egypt, the Mayans have them empires in Central America. All things happening concurrently. So let us not feel the story is just a kind of the view only of the hunter. The hunter come with him argument and every time him talk, him is a hero. But the world goes on. And so we're going to regard the Mayans and the Central American people now as an important part of our reconstruction. There are some large headstones that are found in Central America, 12 feet high, a pure black man head. White man can't explain how them get there. So they must say, call it a mystery. Oh, it's a mystery. Anything them can't explain, oh, it's a mystery. Because it's beyond the scope of his imagination. Just like them can't vision how we even build the pyramids. So them say, well, they were dropped from the sky by aliens. Because them can't say, oh, we can lift blocks so high in the sky and so precise in our mathematics. It's because we conquered space already. We already conquered space travel. We understand wave theory. All the various things that are just being uncovered. I didn't know them things there. But then I set the foundation to all knowledge on this planet. All we want to do is to reclaim. But you can't reclaim it if you're not conscious of the I, which is the power within.
Oh gosh, now to the promised land.
You know, the Mayans could predict eclipses. They understood the rising and the setting of the planet Venus. And they had knowledge of the constellation Orion. This is very interesting now, you know, for those who understand the whole constellation theories. The Mayans knew about Orion. The Dogons of West Africa spoke about Sirius, which is in the constellation of Orion. All these people look at them, know one another, you know. Yeah, all of these ancient cultures are connected. History and astronomy. So the Dogons from Mali, West Africa, they knew about the Sirius. They know about the Osiris. They know about the dark star. This is deep in the culture. Even the Egyptians adopted the principle of Sirius. The Mayans also were aware of Venus, which is within the constellation of Orion. How do you explain the similarity in the knowledge and the architecture and the food of these cultures that are so distant? It's travel. It is space travel. It is research. It is the things that the Europeans are just unveiling. These things were common amongst ancient cultures. But the Bible stories have licked them thing out of our head because Noah's flood washed everything and drowned out the whole world and start back with Noah. And here we go again. Everything has been washed away. We don't hold that anymore. We say that that's Hollywood. That is MGM. That is Warner Brothers. That is the movies. We're dealing with our story. Al-Kibulan, Kemet, black culture. And it's not just limited to the continent. It is a global thing. So who don't know, better know. Examine those giant heads that are in Central America. The giant heads that are on the Easter Island. How them get there? And all of them have flat nose and big eye and it's black people. It's black people. Did we understand anti-gravity? That we could lift heavy objects into the sky? Did we understand those type of theories? It's not far-fetched to know. Because we are the creators. Now when we look at Egypt, again, we have to keep looking forth and back, you know, look right across the world. Just recently, a man in Egypt are digging in their backyard. And look like the man said, Allah say he mustn't dig too deep. And this man violated the law and dig and dig and dig. You know the man broke up, you know. Man broke up in a tunnel, you know. And when the man reported to the authorities, and the man come explore the tunnel, you know. The tunnel is part of a complex. And within that tunnel now, them find the body of a pharaoh. But this is a queen. Recorded history in the 4th or the 5th dynasty. I want to tell you a little bit about this queen. To show you, say, African people, women, royalty. It's powerful people. And we're not struggling with any women's labor and any equality struggle. The African woman has her place. She is empress. She is queen. And they've just uncovered another pharaoh, queen. I'm going to tell you what's your name. It's not so easy to pronounce, but hold it.
No more will I roam. Yeah. still I have to carry on, living this way. It's such an easy game to play, but there'll come that day when, oh yeah, you'll be the one to pay. It won't be long when you be swaying beneath the blue. You got to go on back home, yes, and tell them about your adventures too. I'm going home. No more will I roam. Yes. No more will I roam. Yeah. Too long I've been a loner, trying to find a lover, while endless days seem so long.
The Metamorphosis still in the section called Al-Kibul and our story, Kemet. The female of the African race is the foundation of creation. It is the African female that is the mother of creation. Not Eve now, you know. Eve is the mother of the European nation. We're talking about the African woman, the female. We don't know what she name. Some say it's Lucy. Lucy is the most ancient set of female bones found in Africa, 3.2 million years old. So we're talking about the agency of the African woman. When we explore her role, not just as mother, but as leader and queen, the stories tell us about very few African queens in the anciency. We know about quite a few in the more middle term. But in the anciency of the culture now, we'll normally hear about Cleopatra and her relationship with the Roman Empire. And then we hear about Makeda and her connection with Solomon, or what you want to call Queen Sheba. And then we know about Hatshepsut. She is probably the most ancient of the queens that we know within the Egyptian dynasty. Well, just last week or the week before, through this man's activity now, they stumbled upon this tomb. And when the archaeologists and the excavationists and all of these various Czechoslovakian people and various European scientists, when they finished exploring, they come upon something that was shocking. What they found was the tomb of a queen that people only had a feeling existed, but they had no evidence. And here was the evidence. In this tomb, they found about, first of all, 30 utensils, things that you used to use around the home. These are made out of limestone or copper. Talking about ancient Egypt now, where metallurgy is a science that is well developed. This queen has been identified as ruling in the period of the 4th or the 5th dynasty. Now, the time for this rulership is classified is set at about 4,500 years ago. So we're talking about a time when on the African continent, the female was head of state, political leader, queen, 4,500 years before the birth of the Jesus the Christ. Before we started following this fantasy of birth, we had leaders that were women, and we had kings and pharaohs and our gods and goddesses, and everything well set up, our civilizations. The name of this queen now is Kentakawis III. It is spelled Khentakawess, the third. And the research showed that she was a wife, or she was a mother of a pharaoh. And the pharaoh was Nefer referee. You know, the name them kind of, my tongue not so skilled yet, but I get in there. So within this tomb, they uncovered this queen. This tomb was found in the era of Cairo, an era called Abu Sir. She ruled 4,500 years ago, in the time when the construction of the pyramids were high. So I'm saying to the I and I who are listening now, that the African female must be regarded in the right way, and the African female must begin to view herself from the proper perspective. It can't be Butu and Gyal. We have to reconfigure the definitions of ourselves. The females must begin to see themselves in a more divine, historical, gracious way. Yeah, and the language have to change to bring ourselves to the level that we once were. So the greatness of Africa is still here. It is parallel to other cultures where melanin people are also at work. So we're not disconnecting ourselves from the Indians. We cannot disconnect ourselves from the Orientals. It is all one people grounded in blackness. Queen Kenta Kawis III, 4,500 years ago. Leadership, African people. We need to be proud of our own story. The slave experience is a blip. None of us were born in slavery. We have a glorious story. Just at the capture have turned us around and we have been going in the wrong direction, but you know, there is change. There is metamorphosis. How many people really, really believe that there is a bottomless pit? How many of you believe that there is a bottomless pit?
Wash your face and hands. Let me go the problem. Do all that you can. Keep me in
Yeah, the bottomless pit. Where when you're dropping it, you just keep on falling and falling and falling. No end to the drop. How many people really believe that there is such a bottomless pit? What a drop.
You don't understand. You stop. Superstition is way.
So now, where is this pit? Where the pit there? Well, obviously it's underground. It's underground. The pit is underground. So if you go under the ground, there is this pit that has no bottom. And yet the planet is round. And the pit don't have a bottom. And the planet round. Something is amiss.
Nothing more to say. Very superstitious. The devil's on his way.
Yeah, that's where the devil lives now, in the bottomless pit. Hey, what a dread situation here. One person tell me that them brothers say when them falling in the pit, after 3 days, them realize that them can relax. Because the drop is... After a while, you're not moving, you know. After a while, you're really not going nowhere. In the drop, in the pit. Because movement becomes normal and it just becomes a state of consciousness and steadiness. So you see the people them now who have been overwhelmed by this bottomless pit, stop for a minute and think. Where is the pit? Is the pit on the planet? And does not the planet have a shape that is called spherical? Where people are down under and top? So where is the bottomless pit that you're falling into? Is it not something more in the imagination than in the practical? The bottomless pit, have you scrambling? Imagine it, you try running from this bottomless pit. And where are you trying to run now? Into this topless heaven. You know, if something has no bottom, it really has no end. Yeah. If a thing don't have no bottom, it don't have no end. It just go and just keep going into what the people know as infinity. So if you have infinity at one end, you know what you have at the next end? You must have infinity too. So there is no top and there is no bottom in the reality. They're just right here and now. And the planets that surround us in the heavens. But the deception is to keep us afraid. And the guardian of this pit is the devil. And the scripture tell you that the devil can only be bounded for 1,000 years. And then you have to let him go again and come out and create more havoc. And then you bound them again for 1,000 years. The concept of the pit is deep in the fear box of Christian people. It has the same level of fear as the lake of fire. This lake of fire should also be somewhere under the ground, in the earth. Where in the center of the earth now is this lake of fire? And which man can speak of that lake of fire? That must be imagination. Because there's no man who has visited the center of the earth. Man has stayed on the surface and imagine what is inside the middle. You know, the inside the middle could be hollow. Yeah, the planet could be hollow inside, you know. All these are possibilities. But they don't want us to think. Because if we think, we're going to ask questions. And on the plantation, the African had his tongue cut out for asking questions. Them can't do it now. But them have other ways of trying to silence the voices that speak. But that won't change anything. Anyway, fire for burn. I just it have for burn.
It's time you settle down and try to concentrate. I'm getting a weekly pay instead of begging every day. Father gave us every little thing to make us try and help ourselves. And he said he'd help those who try to help themselves. So if you want to be in that situation, change your evil ways and join this congregation. And maybe you'll soon be living like the king that sitteth on his throne. If happiness is far away, it will show up someday.
You know, one of the things in the Christian scripture, one of the themes that will drive it is the idea of a clash. There's always a clash, and the clash is always between these forces called good and evil. So from the first engagement of forces, people and angels and devils and all of these things, there's always a clash. Now in the clash now, well, the matter of fact, who love clash more than Jamaican people? We love clash. Every session is a clash. Everything we want clash. It's a long time clash are going on, There's a clash in the heaven. Yeah, man, when Lucifer and God get together and lick out, it's a clash, war fight. So before the Christian scripture spoke about the creation of man, there was war. So no one can really blame man for being warlike, It's really the gods and the devils. These are the warlike beings. God them fight it long before man was created. So the God and the angels are warriors. And long after that, now the story says man was made in this image of the God and lower than the angel and all of these type of things. But within the clash now, one of the early clashes in the Bible that has a deep impact on black people is a clash between Pharaoh and Moses. This is a movie clash. Now, if you recall the previous section about the greatness of African people and our pharaohs and our female pharaohs and our male pharaohs, we're coming into that culture, where the pharaohs are the gods in our society. They are our rulers. They are they're building the order, they're setting the constructions, they're holding society. The pharaoh was a normal philosophy. That's normal part of African culture. The pharaohs. And the pharaoh could be male or female. We never call her pharaoh race. That's an English type of construction. So we're coming out of pharaoh culture. We're coming out of Nile Valley culture. And all of a sudden now, we're set up now in a story, a drama, where the pharaoh that we know, the culture that we know is going to be set up against this alien culture led by a man called Moses. Because Moses is not of the pharaonic era, a pharaonic culture. Moses is a man himself coming in a basket. He was a Hebrew who lived in and parasite and learn Egyptian ways. That he murdered an Egyptian and run away. And became a sort of hero amongst people who were slaves to the Egyptian society. And we as a people, with all of this great history and knowledge, have thrown our full weight behind the alien. And we have all opposed Pharaoh, who is I and I. So we have opposed ourselves through that literature. And we have glorified Moses, not recalling that Moses grew up in Egypt, that Moses was a disciple of the Pharaoh, Akhenaten. The same Pharaoh that developed the philosophy and idea of one God, of monotheism. Moses was his disciple. So when Moses commit him act of murder and run away, and decide to start up female uprising, him start tell the people about one God where him know, and call that God Jehovah. This one God of Moses now was not like the God of Akhenaten. It was not a God of peace and love and mercy. This was a God of jealousy and wrath and anger. This is the God of Moses. And it is this God now that they have given to the black people to embrace. And we have left the gods of the pharaohs. And holding on to this alien God now who tells you that you must have no other God but him. Yeah, how that commandment go now? And the first one that Moses dropped on them, first thing him say, thou shalt have no other God than, isn't it Jehovah tell him that? So Jehovah is a tyrant, you know. He's a brother who come for control. And I make you know, so you either deal with him or nobody else. So I have African people now, what do? We are now locked into this mythology and we're taking it as reality. And we're abandoning Isis. We're abandoning Osiris. We abandon Horus. We abandon all of the philosophy. We abandon Thoth. We abandon Imhotep, Makeda, all of African tradition and history. We've abandoned that to rally behind this Hebrew character called Moses. It is time to think carefully, critically, what we're following. And is it not time to jettison some of the baggage that we have been carrying? Metamorphosis continue to pay tribute to the great king of reggae, one of the kings within the pantheon of reggae music, Dennis Emmanuel Brown. So African people, black people, we have abandoned Africa to follow Moshe out into a desert of Sinai to dwell with him and his people for 40 years. And in that 40 years now is pure war amongst themselves until Moses had to do something dramatic to control those generations who couldn't reach the promised land. I'm telling them, you know. So I'm taking them out of Egypt and taking them to the promised land. And for 10 years, them did they go around, no land. 20 years, no land, pick me a barn. 30 years, no land. Oh, Moses and the rat, you know, the people, them vex. Take them out of Africa, where them contented and living and carry them into this desert, but you're taking them to a promised land. 40 years passed, nothing now go on. Moses have to do something dramatic, you know. What do you think him to know? He must go up to the mountains and lick up some chalice, burn some herb and whole of meditation. He said him come down. Him say, I met the Lord. Face to face. Yeah. Him say him see him as a burning bush. At the herb him a burn, you know. At the herb him a burn, you know. I talk about burning bush, you know. And the bush talk to him, you know. And the herb I talk to him, you know. And when the herb say, him say, hey, I want you. And Moses say, but I can't. So him say, who are you? What is your name? Moses asked. And the bush say, I am that I am. Metamorphosis.
FM.
Portland, St. Mary's, Styles FM, the People's Station, is now on your radio. 96.1 and 96.7 on your FM band.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Styles FM, your northeastern radio station based in Portland, Jamaica. Tune in now.
It's time to rock. We're going to be rocking Jamaican radio like there's never been rocked before. 96.1 on your FM band, Styles FM. Don't you miss it. Saturday morning from 9 o'clock until 1 on the PM. Yours truly, Colin Anthony, the man with all the money on it, takes the way with the music. Yes, Styles trivia, news, features, and much more. We've got it in store. Don't you miss it. Every Saturday morning, live on Styles 96.1, the People Station. We've got a plan. You've got a plan. Colin Anthony.
Remember Styles FM on social media. View us on YouTube, Styles FM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Styles FM. Like us on Twitter at Styles FM 961. Become a fan on Facebook. Styles FM 96.1.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
In a Rastris in the Merrimaca, coming to I and I through the sounds of the 4531444 text line. Yes, Rastris. Recognize the I input. So we understand now that in our birth and our early years, there is the notion of me. Yeah, me this and me that, and within the evolution of the me, there is a consciousness that emerges that speaks to itself as I. All of us go through this phase, moving from consciously knowing only me to a state where you begin to speak of I. And the I, of course, knows another state of consciousness. We will want to say it's a higher state of consciousness than the me. Because the I has a capacity to reflect on itself. Yes, it can project itself beyond itself and reflect upon its own thinking. It can memorize and it can idealize and it can project. So there's this force called the I, a type of consciousness within every individual. So when Moses now went into this mountain to find an answer to these people who are rebellious, vexed, picnic barn, generations in the desert and no homeland, he might have come back with a situation that would bring control. And you have to go into the divinities now and the metaphysical to control the people's brain. You can't control them now because the food and the thing not working. You have to go beyond food. You have to go beyond the physical. You have to go to the metaphysical. So I'm getting to that level of thinking now. And I'm come into this mountain. And I'm telling him go on the mountain by himself, you know. I'm by himself. And in that lonely journey, is a man traveling within himself, you know. It's within himself, the journey. But we figure say when him go up there and when buck up something outside of him, is himself him buck up. And within himself, waiting him buck up. Him buck up the I am. The I am is the ultimate existence, ultimate state of affirmation. And the conversation is that when them ask Jehovah, what is your name? Jehovah say, I am that I am. What is the I am? Well, we know about the I. And am is just a state of being. And we are all in existence. So the first state of existence is the I am. Is that Moses go and go overstand, you know. You understand the power of the I. And come forward now and tell the people them some things. Frighten them up. And he drew upon the 42 negative confessions that he learned in Egypt. And composed these 10 commandments. So the ancient African people now who are followers of the Pharaoh culture, we're not in no 10 command. We not follow that. We not, nobody will tell us we thou shalt not kill. We are not murderers. Nobody will tell us thou shalt not steal. We don't walk around thief people things. We have things in abundance. So we never need no laws about thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. We have a whole heap of woman to choose from. It's a condition that faced Moses and the people who run out of Africa with him. A little bit of them too, you know. Don't think it's no million people exodus, you know. A handful of people run out. The millions remain on the continent. And the Chinaman was still in China, and the Indian man was still in India when Moses running out. So it's all who runs with Moses and recognizing that something is wrong. The first thing you need to do is reaffirm your identity. Are you a follower of Moses? Are you a disciple of Pharaonic culture, of Egypt, of Africa, of black people? You have to decide that. When you make a decision, that will determine whether you stay with Moses and his self-journey, explanation of his own struggle, and whether you will reclaim the black story, the African history, Nile Valley culture, knowledge of the Toltecs and the Olmecs and the Incas. All of that is ours. And we have given it up for Moses, going through a desert, going through a Red Sea, but in part and run through, and then when Pharaoh come, Pharaoh drown. And the whole of a cheer when Pharaoh drown and cheer when Moses go through Hollywood in our brain. Pray for yourself.
Shades were pulled and drawn way down.
Afrocentric views and news, looking at the situation locally, fire burning in Westmoreland. The people have taken to I don't want to say taking it to the streets, because they're not on the streets now. They're taking the fire to the farms. And the people have set enough cane fire in Westmoreland over the last couple of days. All of this in response to the police and their actions on the Jamaican citizens. The perception is that the police is a squad that is not about protecting and serving and reassuring. That is the motto of the police, you know. To serve, protect, and reassure. Somehow in the Jamaican society, we're not getting that feeling. Getting the feeling that there is no protection. We're not reassured. And we wonder who is it that the police really serves. And we keep asking that question because we know the history of the genesis of the police force. It was set up in place to put down black uprising. The police force came into being because of the Moran Bay Revolution. To hold down black people's aspirations and to kill the energy of African uprising. That was the initial purpose of the police. We do not know if the philosophy has changed because the behavior is suspect. Prisoners being found dead in their cells. Now we hear of a man trying to run from them and end up in a light pole and dead. There are questions, more questions than answers about our law enforcement. And the improvement will come obviously when these men are perhaps paid more money, that they're no longer tempted to have to engage in any type of extortion activities. Because much is alleged. And we have to carefully now watch this thing called the police force. Because as the economy shrinks and people get more angry, right, and the government provide more employment opportunities, they seem to be providing society with more police. Thinking that the police will be able to hold on the anger of the people that can be resolved through employment and opportunity. And who is the police? Young boys who generally are not successful in their academic life. Generally, they don't get 60s that are in the numbers of 4 and 5 subjects. So the society now creams off these set of youths from the bottom. Cream them off, from the bottom. And their activity now is police activity. Low salary. The motivation is not there to reassure. It becomes a hustle. So the ganja issue now is what is burning. And the Minister of Justice has been going around now explaining to ganja farmers all sorts of intricacies that the ganja laws will have to work towards. Now, what is happening also now that I'm picking up through the waves that they're trying to link up now ganja with traffic accident. We don't know, say the rum has been claiming lives for decades. But there's no evidence to point to anybody who's smoking herb who creating havoc on the road. This seems like a news from the propaganda to fight against the whole usage of herb. So a man go to church and herb is him sacrament. And him take him sacrament at church and coming home. No. The police go and stop him. When them stop him and them say him have herb on him, the way lock him up. It's world of confusion, coming out of this attempt to decriminalize ganja. The bigger problem though, is that the ganja needs an outlet for export. But the market that it can go is not legally in a position to accept it. In other words, we can't legally export ganja to the United States. Even though some of the states in America have it decriminalized, the federal government in America still don't accept that. So we don't want to fall into the illusion that we can legislate from Jamaica for herb to go into America. Yeah. Something have to be seriously changed up if that was going to take place. So rather than burn our energies fighting this section of the ganja thing, why don't we channel some of that energy into the hemp industry, where there are no legal ramifications, there are no treaties to unwind? We just simply grow hemp, put infrastructure in place, the factories, but the government keeps saying that they're going to create factories. And we all know we don't see no factory go up. Because the factories that the government are thinking about is products that are no longer viable on the international market. Banana and sugar, all those products are no longer viable. We have to think industry, we have to think agriculture, for combine industry with agriculture. We have to develop agro-industrial products, and the product to use for that is hemp. Hemp has 0.03% THC. THC is a property that gives ganja its smoking potential. So you can get high off of hemp. Hemp is for making rope, it's for making paper, it's for making cloth, it's for making butter, and the list goes on and on. Why cannot those who are in charge recognize that to defeat poverty in a significant way, you have to create employment? And employment is here in farming. What we need is a consciousness towards industry. And we need the black people in the society now to incorporate manufacturing as part of their desire. Not just farmers and primary industry, and not just educators and hotel industry. If we think about manufacturing, it is that level that we need to penetrate to develop the wealth and the capital to break this cycle of poverty.
Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Police in helicopter. I search for marijuana. Policemen in the streets. Searching for Cali weed. Soldiers in the field. Burning the Cali weed. But if you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. Soldier in the herb field, burning the Cali weed. Police in helicopter, I search for marijuana.
You can make
Policemen
bricks from hemp. They call them hempcrete rather than concrete. You can make fiber from hemp. You can make paper, reggae cloth. That's not a bad word, you know. That is a product, reggae cloth.
Police in helicopter, I search for marijuana.
You know, the ganja, the medical ganja, you know, is a highly positive thing, you know, to develop. But this is the people of the country now, the masses, have realized the deception now, you know. We will never be in a position to own these manufacturing situations to develop ganja. They're going to keep us as the farmers and the primary producers. If you've gone into hemp, we become the owners of production. Whole different ball game that. Yeah, we need to become owners of production. That's how you create capital and build empire. Yeah, man, we can't just be service and providing service. Everybody gone into the tourist industry. That we can bow to the white American and hope for bigger tips. Everybody can be a farmer or a fisherman. Everybody can be a university graduate. Again, to give service. Everybody can be a banker. The section where the black people lacking is manufacturing. We don't make nothing except record and dance. We don't make nothing we can sell. We just buy things. And there are certain groups in the country now who are conscious, certain small racial groups, and they dominate what they call the manufacturing sector. We don't see no black people in that. We say we can manufacture too. Hemp is what we're working towards. We want a hemp industry. 3 crops a year. Take the youth out of the inner cities and give them work in the rural area. Them see what them doing. And there's no prettier lasting in hemp. Nobody can thief hemp. We could look at what we have. Let us look internally. Let us open that inner eye.
The way that Maradona has been able to do. And he's helping England again here. This is
Set.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt, and again he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt. They say lightning doesn't strike twice. The world belongs to Bolt. Berlin belongs to Bolt. 9.58.
Sports and the metamorphosis. We usually speak about sports from the international level, various activities. This is a world that is separate from the civil society and separate from the political society, the world of sports, governed by the major organizations like the ICC for cricket, the FIFA for football, the IOC for Olympics. And sports is a major industry globally. It's a tremendous money maker. It's entertainment. And when the world is undergoing its recessions and depression, the world of sports has no problems. Money just runs the same way. Automotive sports, the players don't get any docking salary. There's no price freeze. They don't catch that world. So it's a different world. And it's a world of money. It's a world of power. It's a world that is financed often by drugs. And when I say drugs, that meaning alcohol and marijuana. Sales that creates this extra money that can be spent on sports. Why you can pay a player $260 million. One person collecting $260 million for the year. That's obnoxious. Because when you look around at one person and you see the slums and the hospitals that have no facilities, you see that something is out of order. But sports is an important distraction. It takes away your time from serious issues. And it also keep you in a make-believe land where you can fantasize and project and put your fears and your expectations in others. You can build heroes, and it's a whole world unto itself, the world of sports. Presently in the United States, they are approaching their biggest sporting event. It's called the Super Bowl. I think it's number 49. Enough of them and play every February, January. And this is a game of war. This football, in the rest of the world, football is played with the feet. But America now, through them around the world, for them way, they call for them game football. And our game, we call it soccer. And these people are strange people, It's all about definitions and power. So this football game now will pit the New England Patriots against this defending champion, the Seattle Seahawks. This game is, I think, will be played in Virginia. And our great athlete Usain Bolt has been invited to be a guest there, and it's a major event in America. It's the biggest game. It draws all the stars and halftime show, and it's like a 4-hour thing. And money turnover now because it's about advertisement. So any company that can buy time in during the Super Bowl must spend over $1.5 million for like 30 seconds. A 30-second commercial easily costs you $2 million US. 30 seconds. Now can you imagine what is put in that 30 seconds that will convince the viewer to go out and buy? Heavy psychology, heavy subliminals. So this is a moment in America where they try to find the greatest football team. And it's a sport that symbolizes manhood. You know, there's no postponement of weather, and at the same time there's an incident called the deflate, where the man them see them take out the ear out of the ball and create some disturbance, and that's what American sports are all about. Entertainment and excitement. The football now that we know internationally now is the big ball, where we use our feet and our brains and coordination, not many timeouts. It's very fluid, and the whole idea that it should be non-stop. This game right now is a passion in Jamaica. We love it so much that we feel that we are the greatest players in the world. Well, we have produced the greatest runners, undoubtedly. But the football now is a different issue. It seems as if we have an idea in Jamaica that football players are born and that you don't really need coaches. And that man born baller. And so there's an attitude that coaching is not even necessary in Jamaica. And with that type of framework now, teaching, it does not become a part of the football curriculum. We have coaches, but we don't have any teachers at the game. And there's a tremendous difference, because not all coaches can teach. And in order to develop players, you have to teach them. So we have a serious problem in our football, and it is reflected in the result that we get when we play with teams outside of the Caribbean. Every time we step out of the Caribbean region, we get some beat up. Boofing. Because the football now, we are exposed to the limitations of our coaching. Our coaches are not internationally trained, and they're not exposed to international methods. So every man is a genius unto himself. And every man in Jamaica is a good coach. And every man in Jamaica is the best coach. And no man can reason with no man about football, because him is already the best coach. So what we really need perhaps is a revolution in the teachers' college, where those who are going to become football coaches should go to teachers' college and learn how to teach. Now you see, after that 3 years of learning how to teach, and you combine that now with learning how to coach and learning coaching methods and methodologies, so we'll send them out there now. We'll begin to see players who have been taught the game, and from coaches who understand how to teach, understand psychology, understand methodology, understand how to test, understand how to retest, and drop some of the ego for the development of the player.
It is not good to travel today, neither to cross the ocean. Deserts are dry, water thirsty you.
Now, our football now is so in such a delicate stage that the senior national team under the coach Winfred Schaefer, they were able to squeeze out the Caribbean Cup, and they have been qualified for a tournament now that will be played in South America, running from June 11th to July 14th, July 4th. Now, this is a tremendous experience that our national team will get under our new coach, who seems to have been able to overcome the initial struggles of our amateur settings, and has brought together a MLS-based professional team with a couple local players and 1 and 2 English players for flavoring. This tournament now will show us further where our national team has reached. But at the same time now, when we look at the foundation of the national program. We don't see any foundation team. The under 20 team, which represents the stage before the senior team, were knocked out unceremoniously out of the CONCACAF under 20 tournament in Montego Bay. We as a host team couldn't qualify in the top 4. Defeated by America, defeated by Panama, they must beat up aside. So if you're under 20 not going anywhere, what is happening at the top is just a shadow. It means there's no foundation to what Schaefer is doing. And when we look at the coaching at the under 20 level, I'm going to make a recommendation. You see, the way I man have no confidence now in our ability to move it as local coaches. Maybe we should just have Schaefer be the national coach for all the national teams. And then we build around Schaefer our understudy group. The people who really want to be our national coaches, we surround those people, put them around Schaefer, that they can learn the international ways of training and coaching. And ultimately, when Schaefer goes, something will be left back in our people. But right now, under 20 has died. The under 17 going out into deep waters. They may just drown as well. The picture is clear. We need teachers to coach the game. JFF, Issa. And then I say nothing. And then I say nothing.
It is not good to travel today, neither to cross the ocean. Deserts are dry, water thirsts kill you. Too good to travel today, neither to cross the ocean. Deserts are dry, water thirsts kill you. Kill you, kill you, kill you. Kill you, kill you. When it wet, it slippery. When it dark, it cramp your belly. Don't want to see you underground. Don't want to see you underground. The ground, the ground. Caution, my brother, caution, take it. Black soul, you black astray. So black, so black. So black, so black, so black. I'm proud I'm black. I'm proud I'm black. I'm rejoicing I'm black. Who no black now go black again? Who no black now go black again? So black. My skin is black.
So we'll go forward to the notion of our blackness. It is only temporary that we make a drift away from the notion of blackness. The blackness of the skin is what we need to overstand. This section is called Skin Deep. And we usually use this segment to go into the physiology of our makeup. I want to look at the word pigmentation in this section. We know of the word pigment and we hear about pigmentation. What is pigmentation? What is it? What is that activity all about? The word Asian, A-T-I-O-N, is a suffix which means action. So we're talking about activity within the pigment. Pigment, of course, is in the plants and pigment is in the skin of the African people. Now, what is about pigmentation? What is the activity? What is it all about? We have a look at the notion now of energy, vibrations, waves, sunlight. Because there's a interaction between the green plants and the sun and the chlorophyll. And that interaction produces oxygen and produces sugar. It is this activity that allows the green plant to feed itself. The process I will talk about now is called photosynthesis. Using light to make food. This is the power of the green plant. Because it is possessed with a pigment. It's possessed with the pigment chlorophyll. In the African, there is a pigment, not called chlorophyll, it's called melanin. This pigment also absorbs solar energy. It too creates something. One of the things that is created is vitamin D. Vitamin D, we know, is important for the building of sound bones, calcium. So right away, the African people now, in general, we don't have to live on cow's milk. We're already, what do they call it, lactose intolerant. So therefore, the cow's milk is not a easily digestible thing in a black people. And we are told that to get vitamin D, you must drink cow's milk. Well, we should drink our mother's milk at first, but then that way it should stop, because we are not cows. And we can get our vitamins D out of nature, because that is the power of the sun. But there are people who cannot go into the sun to get that, because they lack the melanin. They will get skin burn. So the pigment is an important aspect of our being. Pigmentation is an activity in nature, because we see it in the plants. Wave energy, vibrations, all things that are within nature vibrate. Vibration is a foundation of movement. So a rock stone is not moving, it's stationary. But the molecules within the rock stone, the atoms, vibrations, they're taking place. All things are in vibration. So the pigmentation is a level of vibration. And I'm suggesting that within the African people now, we can actually communicate at the level of pigmentation. We can release vibrations and waves out of our skin, straight to our next skin. And them can feel it. And they must nod to you. And you wonder, and they never saw one another before, you know. And they never know one another before, as far as you can remember. But there's a level of vibration that you let off, that the people can them react to it. And them let off the vibes, and then I look at one another and smile and go on. And it's like they know one another from a long time somewhere, but this part of the movement and they can't really work it out. So I'm saying at the level of the pigment, there is a communication. Because the pigment has the capacity to absorb energy. It can store it and it can release it. The creative people who know this operate in the early morning when the brain and everything is releasing the energy that is stored from the day. And when we release that melatonin that bathes the brain, it's like a spiritual bath. Yeah, man, ideas flow clairvoyantly. Powers of vision. So, we have to check yourself, you know. We have to check yourself our setup. And the skin now is a foundation organ that we have been trained to hate. Black people have been trained to hate them skin. So those who bleach without much thought are often in a serious state of self-hatred. They may want to say it's a fashion statement, but beyond the consciousness, there are unconscious forces. And self-hate is a powerful unconscious force. Now, the skin is not only significant to the African people, but when we go into the endocrine system of the black people, the system that at the very top of the system is that gland that gives us the pigment that allows us to be black. It's a tree. It's like a tree, the glandular tree. ancients in the East call it the tree of the chakras. And each of and on that tree there are nerve centers. Now I was going to say a little bit about the nerve centers and this tree, because we learn about the environment through sensations that we receive at the ending of our nerves. So nerve endings are an important part of the makeup. And sensations come to the nerve endings, and we become conscious of the environment and even what's happening on our own inside. It is this endocrine tree that's very, very critical to our understanding of our own feelings. At the top of the tree is the pineal, and at the bottom of the tree are the sex glands. But within the male and the female, there are two types of sex glands. The male has testes, the woman has ovaries. But significantly, the woman has an organ that the man don't have. But as a matter of fact, the man have it, but it's less sensitive than what she has. We're coming to that.
Dark brown shade of my skin, only head color to my tears. That splash against my elbows, that rocks my soul. Looking back over my past dreams that I once knew, wondering why my dreams never came true. Somebody tell me, what can I do? Something is holding me back. Is that because I'm black? In this world of no pity, I was raised in the ghetto of the city. Mama, she worked so hard to earn every penny. Something is holding me back. Is it because I'm black? Something is holding me back. I'm wondering if it's because I'm black.
We got to know why we are black. Many people have been conditioned to believe that their lack of progress and their inability to achieve is just because they're black. But we have to move beyond that framework and get to the knowledge as to why we are black. And once we can understand why we're black, that knowledge cannot hold us back. That knowledge will propel us forward to the great heights that we know. So the makeup of our physiological structure is crucial. Yeah, biological makeup. No, we're not talking about no airy-fairy talk. Talking about systems and organs that are in the physical structure. And we can test them and we can examine them. And we know that the skin is the most ancient organ in the body of man, particularly the black man. It is the first organ that forms at inception. Because when the egg enters the sperm, when the sperm enters the egg, it closes automatically and the first organ is set up, called the skin, protection. Everything else comes after that. So there's a skin before a heart. You have a skin before even your brain is formed. So the power of feeling may dominate the power of thinking. Because we begin to feel even before we begin to think. This is the African now, this is the black man. And we are great intuitive thinkers. And intuition doesn't require thought. Intuition operates at a different level. We don't even know how the dots are connected with intuition. We just arrive at the answer. So feeling is a powerful sense. And it is driven by this organ called the skin. We feel from our skin.